ArchitectNow. One of the things that I've been doing a lot over here is automating some of our workflows in the sales, the marketing, the business development area. And there is a lot of people, a lot of hype out there on AI and talking about different things around AI, right? And there's a lot of stuff that's hype. There's a lot of stuff that is real, and there's certain ways to do things that are efficient, and there's other ways that can suck up a lot of your time. So I've spent a lot of time over the last couple months working with tools like Claude Code, Claude Cowork, and different AI things inside of our organization. We are a Microsoft partner located here in St. Louis. They were gracious enough to let us use the Innovation Hub here as well to host this webinar. So thank you to Microsoft for that. And one of the things that I really wanted to dive into today was just building out your workflows, being able to show you guys kind of how I do things day to day, how I start my mornings, how I go through sales prep, how I do my sales summaries, some of the AI stuff that I've built with marketing automations, just to make my day a little bit more efficient and be able to get a lot more work done in, I don't want to say less time, but a lot more work done in the time that I have throughout the day. So this is not going to be a overly technical type of presentation. I'm going to show you guys some actual workflows that I use, talk a little bit about some of the tools that I'm using, as well as kind of how the thought process goes into building these things out. And then from there, we will also have a Q&A. I've got some of our team here, Kevin Gross and Klaus, will be monitoring the Q&A. So if you do have any questions, if you have anything that comes up inside of the webinar, please feel free to use the chat, use the Q&A feature, and ask any of those questions. We will be able to address them. And then we should have some time at the end to address them live as well. So first things I want to get into here is, make sure I got my, but a little bit about ArchitectNow. So we are a Microsoft partner. We have designations in data and AI, infrastructure, digital lab and innovation, and we also have an AI specialization. We have to build apps on Microsoft Azure specialization, which gives us a lot of different benefits, and was awarded to us after going through a rigorous audit from Microsoft, just showcasing our ability, showcasing some of our expertise, being able to build apps on Azure and just in AI in general. So it does open us up to a lot of different benefits through Microsoft, working with some of our clients, and we'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that. We've been around for over about 18 years at this point. We're a fully virtual company. We went virtual after COVID, about 30 employees, and we're heavily focused in the AI area. We also have another side of our business where we do managed services, co-manage, full manage, and then we also are a reseller of Microsoft licensing, where we can pass along a discount to our clients on Microsoft licensing. But obviously, in today's day and age, AI is a massive focus, and it's something that we dove into very, very early on, and we've just adopted it from there. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now touches AI. A lot of the projects that we work on have AI implemented into them, and most of the conversations we're having with clients right now are around AI. And that's kind of how this conversation came about and this presentation was put together. Was a lot of people that we talk to, they want to get started with AI. They talk to their leadership. They're getting pressure from above that they have to implement AI some way or another. And some people just don't know where to start, or they have some ideas and they get started, and then they kind of go along the journey, and the things just don't work out the way that they hoped for them to, because great ideas are something anybody can throw on the table, but if you don't have a process to implement it, a process to plan it out and be efficient with it, it's never going to get to full production and be the way that you really want it to. And the whole idea of adopting AI is to be able to go along that AI journey and have full adoption, success, and continue to build on top of it. So something we're really heavily involved here, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit about some of the stuff that I've been doing personally on the sales side. I will preface this all by saying I don't have any development experience. I don't ever have been coding or anything like that. This is purely from me just having lots of ideas and being very ambitious about AI and excited about the tools that we have at our ability. The fact that some of these tools even exist today blows my mind every single day. So I airplane this morning, flying in from Tampa, and I'm using AI while I'm on the airplane, and I'm connected to a computer that's not even in front of me. So some of the tools now, they are absolutely insane. And some of these steps right here, learning intelligence, sales operations, they're kind of the way that the steps that I built them out. The very first thing that I focused on when I started kind of messing around with tools like Claude, honestly, just initially inside of Claude Chat, and then Claude Cowork came out, and then But the owner of the company, Kevin, kind of introduced me to using a terminal, which I've never used in my life, and I've been able to figure that out as well. So it's been super, super fun. But the morning intelligence is the one thing that when I saw that these tools were available to me, I was like, wow, that is something that could benefit me, but also benefit everyone in our organization and people in other organizations, right? Like one of the things is there's so many tools out there that you're using. Right? We have Microsoft Teams, we have Outlook, we have Planner, we have Dynamics, we have all these tools that are all over the place, and they all have different areas where they hold data. And being able to connect all those things and stay on top of them with all the other stuff going on throughout the day can sometimes get a little bit chaotic. So I wanted to find a way where I could basically take all of those tools, take all the things that I would normally do manually, automate it to an extent, right? You don't want to, I'm not trying to fully automate absolutely everything. You still want to put a human eyes on it. You still want to be able to review it. You don't want to just let AI be sending your emails out without you looking at them. But you're able to really kind of speed the process up and take away a lot of the mundane tasks. That's the one thing I say to people all the time is taking away mundane tasks, things that can be automated, automate them, right? And focus your time on the things that are driving more value, talking to customers, being able to get in front of sales and drive for growth and drive for continuing to strive forward without being bogged down by little things that AI could take over. So the first thing I'm going to jump into is the morning intelligence, right? So this all came about with honestly just kind of walking through emails, right? Being able to kind of go through my emails and kind of triage it in the morning. And one thing that I was noticing too inside of my daily workflow is, we work inside of Microsoft Teams all day. That's how we chat. We're a virtual company. So you can have a bunch of threads going inside of Teams and, someone might say something at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that thing is all the way up inside of a thread and you completely forget about it. Then it gets lost until the person that asked you comes back to you 2 days later and says, hey, did you do this yet? And that's where it's like, okay, how can we find a process where we can kind of be able to grab all this information that might slip past us on the day-to-day and put it back in front of us the next morning, right? So that way we're not missing things. So let me click this, get the video started here to kind of show you guys a little bit about how this works. So this is Claude. This is the chat version right here. I'm going to click into Cowork. And Cowork is something that came out a little while ago. It's all built on skills. It's all folder-based. So I have all these different skills right here that are running. So I've got scheduled tasks. This morning scheduled task that's running right here, this runs every single day for me at 6 o'clock in the morning. So while I'm sleeping, while I'm waking up, getting my kids ready for school, this thing is running for me. And by the time I open up my laptop, it's ready. It's got all the stuff available for me to go look at. Right now, what it's doing is it's actually pulling through, it's using custom MCP servers that our company built out. So this connects directly to our Microsoft ecosystem. It's connecting to our Dynamics CRM, our Outlook, our Teams, our Planner. We have it to connect to DevOps and Harvest and all these different tools that we use. And it can read that data. And what it's doing is it's going to go through and it's going to find all of my emails, all of my chats, all of my tasks, right? So on the email side of it, what I have it do is, first step is to go and find any emails from the last 24 hours that I should have responded to, right? Emails that somebody sent me and maybe I didn't get to yet, and I have to follow up with, right? So instead of just flagging it and saying, all right, I'll go check my flags in the morning, I have this go through and it looks at all of those emails and it'll compile an entire kind of list for me and show me a little bit about, okay, you've got to send this person an email, you got to send this person an email. Then I took it a step further, right? A lot of times, especially in my role in sales, I'm following up with people. We send them a proposal. We're trying to schedule a call, and not everybody gets back to you within a day or two, right? So I wanted to find a way where I can find all of the people that I'm trying to get in touch with. And if they didn't respond to me in the last 10, 14 days, I want to be able to go back and follow up with them, right? Sure, I can set a task, I can set a flag, right, to go and like, hey, make sure you follow up with this person. It's exactly what I used to do. I'd have a flag set. I check my flags every single day. All right, got to send this person an email. Cool. But with AI, I'm able to just take that load off my plate and allow AI to go through and find all those emails for me. So it will find, an email that I sent 10 days ago to a client, send them a proposal, haven't heard anything back on the proposal. It's going to pull that email for me. Hey, you've got to respond to so-and-so. You sent them an email 10 days ago. They haven't responded. Then I take it another step further. I built out a skill that it's called Voice DNA. And Voice DNA, what it does is, AI in general, if you just allow AI to write something, you know AI wrote it. It's got M dashes. It sounds like AI, right? It's a typical thing out there. You just know an AI wrote something. So I don't want my emails sounding like AI. I don't want my content sounding like AI. So what I did was I had Claude go through and I had it read my last 50-cent emails. So my 50-cent manual emails. So it sees exactly how I structure my emails, the way that I say things, how I send off my emails, how I greet my emails. So it knows exactly how I type when I'm emailing somebody. And it learns that. It saves that skill. So every time that it writes one of these emails for me, it goes and it sounds exactly like me. So when I go and review these in the morning, I don't really have to edit too much. Sometimes I got to edit a couple things here and there, and it's pretty spot on, and it gets better and better over time, right? You continue to train it, you continue to kind of show it how you talk, and I wake up in the morning, and you'll see in a couple of seconds, I've got a thing called a command center that I built, and it drafts these emails up for me, again with our MCP server. It drafts these emails up for me, for the person. I don't allow it to auto send. I have it save it as a draft inside of my Outlook. So I'll go through, and in my command center, which you'll see, it is saved, and it says, okay, I drafted these emails for you. All of these emails are ready to go, who they're for, the context behind it. And the cool thing is, Claude goes in and it sees the email thread. So it knows what I was following up with them about. And it drafts that email so that they can actually see exactly, it sees exactly what I was trying to say to them, and it continues to have the same context. And then all I have to do is go into my draft inside of my Outlook. I've already reviewed them inside the command center, go into my drafts, click, 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 click. I can have 10 emails sent out within a couple minutes. And it saves a massive amount of time. It takes the brain power away from having to sit there and type them out manually. It's all there. It's good. You review it, you send it, you move on to the next thing. Same thing with our Teams messages, right? Like I mentioned, inside of Teams, we have a lot of conversations that go on inside of our chats. And sometimes we miss things. Sometimes I ask somebody to do something, they don't answer. Sometimes somebody might ask me to do something and I don't answer. Or it got lost in a thread or something. So Claude will go through and it'll find all of these chats. And I pointed it at specific ones, so it's not just going through my entire Teams thing, the people I communicate with daily, things like that. And it reads a summary. So it goes through the last 24 hours. And the reason why I have it set 24 hours is because this runs every single day. So if it's running every single day, there's no need to run it back longer than that. So it'll go through, it'll find all the messages from yesterday, and it'll say, okay, awesome. You had this thread going on with Alex and Kevin. Kevin asked you to write this thing up for him, and you didn't do it yet. Awesome. I've got a summary right there inside of my command center. Hey, Kevin told you to do this. It also creates a task for me. Same thing with anyone that's asking any questions. And then as the director of business development, I'm also trying to make sure, if I'm asking people to do things, review a proposal, review a statement of work, I want to make sure that they're also doing it. So I've actually taken it a step further now. It's actually in the works, but being able to review things that I've asked people to do that they haven't done, and then just automatically have a notification sent to them on Teams in the morning. Hey, Craig asked you to do this, or hey, you have an overdue task. Ping them. That way they get reminded as well. So it's really kind of just transformed that whole morning process. And the beautiful thing about this is it's ready for me at 7 o'clock in the morning when I get ready to open up my laptop, 8 o'clock, and it's all right in front of me. And then let me pull this up so it goes over to the command center for you. And then, so this is the command center. So this is something that I built out, and this was actually one of the first things that I did. So what it's showing you here is it's showing you the those tabs right there. Those are the meetings that I have for the day. Those are the emails that are drafted. Those are the quick wins. Those are the Claude tasks that Claude is performing for me. And then this is my calendar. So this isn't just a regular old calendar, right? It has my actual meetings on it. So obviously this is demo data, but it has my meetings on it. So it knows, okay, great. You have these calls right here at 10, 2, and 3. And then inside of those times, it grabs all my tasks from my planner. So anything that I've scheduled, anything that I have that I need to do, whether it is send a proposal or whether it's, hey, you need to build out this marketing campaign or you need to plan for this webinar. It takes all that into consideration and it builds it out and time blocks everything for me. So if I have a call at 11 o'clock in the morning, it's going to build out items for me to do from my tasks. And it might not even be tasks either. It might be stuff that it just identified through our team summary from the day before and say, okay, you need to go through and you need to be able to do this at 9 to 10, right? This is going to be your time block to do this. You know, from 10 to 10:30, this is your time block to do this task. And then from there on, you just kind of go through and it builds out your day for you. So you don't have to think about it. It's already done. It's right in front of you. And you just have to kind of follow the structure. And it took a little bit of time to kind of build this out and be able to get it to the point where it was super accurate, because when I first started doing it, right, it would have crazy stuff all over the place, and it wasn't the most accurate thing. I want to go back here really quick just to show you guys something. So right here is the EOD. The EOD notes, this was something I added in as I was building this out. You know, you might have stuff on your plate, right? And this process might think that, hey, you know, it's going to take you 30 minutes to do this, and it might take you an hour and a half, right? So you might not get to every single thing on there. The EOD notes, you put it in there, and you say, hey, I didn't get to, you know, building this campaign today. Takes that into consideration when you save it, and it pushes it on to the next day for you. So it keeps you updated. So that way, if you don't finish everything in that one day, it actually pushes it to the next day for you so that you still do it, so that it's not just kind of forgetting everything about it. And then go on to the, over to the Teams thing. I want to show you guys how the team summary works, because this is something that, you know, it was one thing that was, I wouldn't say it was a massive problem, but it was something that I was like, how do we solve this, right? Because, you know, if there's 50, 60, 70 messages going on a day with your team, sometimes it's hard to just keep track of everything unless you're writing down every single task. So right here, what it does is it summarizes them all, right? So it grabs all of my different channels that I have, and it goes through and it says, okay, it read our professional services sales channel, right? And it finds, you know, all the conversations that we had, it summarizes it. And if there was any action items inside of that chat, like, hey, you need to go and follow up this person, or, you know, this person approved a budget, right? It'll just give me a summary. That way I don't have to go and read through the entire thread again. And it goes through each person. So it's not just group chats, it's individual chats as well. So if you're having, you know, one conversation with somebody and, you know, there's something you're supposed to do, it'll go through and summarize it for you. And then I've also, like, some people may look at it and be like, all right, you have tasks, but you also have a planner. One of the reasons why I have tasks inside of here as well is the whole purpose of this was to consolidate everything, put it all in one tool. All right, that way you're not bouncing around from a bunch of different things. So here I have all my different tasks. A lot of this stuff is inside of my planner as well. So, you know, I can come in here and see everything, got my quick wins. A lot of it is the stuff that was built out inside of the daily schedule. So it's not everything that's in planner. Over here, it's got a specific thing for the planner. And then it also has all the tasks that Claude was going to be doing for me. And one of the purposes behind that is to just be able to make sure you're tracking your progress throughout the day, right? You want to be able to hit every single item. You want to make sure you're checking everything off your planner, but also you have stuff that might not actually be a physical task that you're putting on side of on a task list. So it's just a way to kind of consolidate everything and put it all inside of one. And then this is one of the ones that I, you know, added on after as well. So each one of these tabs kind of happened step after step, right? So this one is the pipeline tab. You know, once we kind of built out the MCP servers and we had everything in place where it can read all of our data, I had it go through and read through our pipeline, right? Because, you know, CRMs are great. You don't want to necessarily be living in the CRM. You want to be talking to people, right? So how do you talk to people quicker? You get the information that you need quicker. The stuff that is important for that day, you get it to you in a much faster time frame. And having it all inside of one tool is how that happens, right? So a lot of these messages you see right here on the screen, these are ones that, you know, I have kind of a fallback feature here where I can copy the email, but these are also auto drafted. So these emails you see here, these are from different opportunities or different clients that we're working with. And if I was, again, going back and I sent them an email 10 days ago and they didn't respond, it's picking all of this stuff up and it's auto drafting this email right here. But if for some reason the auto draft doesn't work and it just, you know, it needed a permission or it crashed or something, you know, it's stuff, all these tools are not 100% perfect. Have a fallback option where I could just hit copy email, go to my Outlook, paste it in, just as quick, right? And then it also goes through, it tracks my pipeline. So, you know, different items that I've got to be doing, to kind of continue to push things forward, focusing on webinars, conferences, all these different things that we're looking to do. It's tracking all that stuff as well. This might not be a day-to-day type of task. This is more of a milestone type of thing. And it just tracks that milestone for me. And then this tab right here, this is Claude. So one of the cool things about this is like, there's certain things that you as the, salesperson, the marketing person, whoever it may be, there's certain things that you have to specifically be doing. But there's some things Claude can just do for you, or any AI tool, right? It can do it for you. Some things like account research, some things like going and searching for conferences. I don't necessarily have to sit there and go searching on Google or searching on any of these, search engines for all these conferences, when I can have Claude in the background, right? It runs this plan, and after it goes through, while I'm working, while I'm doing things, it's actually running this stuff in the background. I don't even see it happening. It's using a headless browser. So it's actually going through and it's doing research on conferences. It's doing research on, accounts or competitors or whoever I needed to do, whatever I needed to do. It's doing it in the background, and then it notifies me an hour later, 30 minutes later, however long it takes, that it was done, right? So over here, it's listing out all the items that Claude is literally just doing for me, right? It's my assistant, it's my co-pilot. And then after it's done, it saves it into a folder for me. I go through and I review it, and I just either post it, use it, send it to my team, whatever it may be, edit it, but it's got a good draft for me. And again, this stuff over time, it gets better and better and better. The first time I ran it, it was not the greatest. You tweak it, you train it, it gets better and better over time. So that's one of the things that just, stuff blows my mind every single day, honestly. And they ship stuff so quickly as well. This is something new, and there's another slide on this actually towards the end of the thing where I get a little bit more in depth with it. This is what I call my AI CMO. So one of the things that I've kind of taken on over the last couple of months is a lot more of like heavier marketing stuff, right? And trying to balance the marketing, sales, everything in one. There's a lot of stuff going on, and AI allows you to get more stuff done, right? And marketing stuff, if there's any marketing people on this call, I know you guys, it takes a lot of work, right? There's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. So I wanted to be able to kind of set a process up where a lot of the stuff that I'm doing manually is actually done for me again as soon as I wake up. So when I go through and I'm doing marketing things, I've got skills and plugins and all these things built out inside of Claude, and things like, doing webinar prep, right? Putting together email content, putting together slideshows, putting together LinkedIn content, putting together marketing sequences for different products, all these different types of things that kind of go into marketing, PPC campaigns, PPC auditing, all that stuff, right? It takes a lot of time, and I have different skills for it, and I would manually go through, run it, review it, copy it, paste it, put it into Hootsuite or LinkedIn, whatever, however we're doing it. I wanted to take it a step further, and I saw something online about a similar type of product. And when I looked into it, it was very basic. And this is one of the things that I really want to kind of drive on this call is all of this stuff that you're doing with AI, all this stuff that you see, all the processes and the automation and everything, it's all wonderful. It does not work that well unless it's trained on your business. If you do not train this on your company, your workflow, you as a person, your role, everything that you do, you're not going to get the output that you want. If this stuff was not trained on ArchitectNow and it didn't know anything about ArchitectNow, it's going to give me a bunch of bogus stuff that is not going to be relevant to what we do. So it's very, very important to train every single one of these things on your exact business and your use cases. And if you don't, you're just going to get generic content. So everything here, it knows my Claude account knows everything about ArchitectNow. It literally knows our logo, our brand colors, what we do, all our certifications, all of our services, all of our everything that we have, Claude knows about it. So basically what I did was I built out ArchitectNow specific skills. So on this page you see right here, these are LinkedIn posts. So one thing that I had it do was I had it actually, it's more of a, it's more of like an agentic type of workflow, essentially, where there's different skills that are kind of firing in sequence, and they're all scheduled inside of Cowork. So they run automatically on Monday morning. This one right here, what it does is it actually, on Monday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, goes through and it does research. So it's called the Market Scout. The Market Scout, it goes through and it looks at Reddit, it looks at LinkedIn, it looks at the Microsoft forums, it looks at all the different things that will be relevant to us. It tries to find new news from Microsoft. It tries to find news on some of the industries that we focus in, healthcare, construction, manufacturing, any of these verticals that we kind of do work inside of right now. It goes and does research on it. It does research on our current clients. It does research on some of our competitors. It does research on a lot of different areas. And then it pulls together all of those artifacts. And it's trained to identify which ones are going to, stick the most if you post it online, on LinkedIn or something like that, to get the most views, right? So this one that you're looking at right here, actually ran this on Monday morning. This is something that I just started implementing, honestly. And it ran on Monday morning, and it went through and it found all these articles. It found an article from Microsoft about license increasing. It found an article about Microsoft E7 licensing. And you can see right here, these are all the articles that it's showing on this right-hand side. So it grabs all those articles, gives a summary of it. And then once it puts a summary together, it goes through and it sends it into a folder. And then it's all inside that folder. The Market Scout goes in, organizes it, identifies which ones are going to be the most relevant for me to be posting from my LinkedIn or from ArchitectNow's. And on that one, it was showing the Microsoft E7 one. So then after it's got all of the content identified, right, it's not written up, it's just summaries of articles. It sends it off to another skill that I have, which is one, my voice DNA, but also a LinkedIn authority builder. So the voice DNA, again, it works for email copy, it works for LinkedIn copy, it works for anything that I would normally be writing myself. It is trained to type it and make it sound like me, with my personality, the way that I type, the way I structure stuff, so that it looks like it's coming from me and it doesn't sound like AI. And it goes and it writes those posts for me. And one of the important things here is that it doesn't just go and post it. It gives me options. So on this screen right here, these ones that it's scrolling through, it's actually giving me two different options. It's giving me a little bit of a more aggressive option, right? And then it's also giving me a reserved option. And I can go through and I can read them and I can approve it, I can edit it, or I can reject it. So if I look through and I see that I have a LinkedIn post for Microsoft E7, and I say, okay, this looks great. I want to post this. I click approve. Once I click approve, it goes through and I have it set up so that it runs every hour and it checks if anything was approved inside of the command center. And it then fires off the Chrome browser agent and it puts it into Hootsuite for me. And Hootsuite is where we deploy a lot of our social media content. It puts it into Hootsuite, saves it as a draft. All I have to do then is go into Hootsuite at that point, hit schedule, send, boom, it's posted. One of the cooler things about this is that it doesn't just write up the content like that. It actually is building out like actual pieces of content. So it's building out carousels, it's building out images, and it designs them to look like ArchitectNow, right? So it has our branding, our logo and everything. And I can just take that PDF, slide it in as a carousel, post it, it's all good to go. So some of this stuff that would normally take hours, it's all ready for me. And at that point, it's just more of me approving it, editing it, and getting it deployed. So this one kind of blew my mind when I built it out, and it's been something really fun to work with. So we'll get more into this towards the end of the webinar. I have another slide on it that kind of shows the diagram and how it works. But the command center is something that I would love to honestly, even internally, I think a lot of companies should have something similar to this, where their employees can just have one place where they have all their stuff, keeps everybody accountable, has all your tasks, has your schedule, has what you got to do, and you just follow it. And if you do that, you should be getting through your day efficiently and getting everything you need to get done. Next thing I'll jump into is the sales meeting prep. So this is another thing, obviously, in sales. When you get onto a sales call, you want to have everything in front of you. You want to know everything about all the opportunities you have. You want to know what your forecast looks like. You want to know everything to talk about when you're going through all your opportunities, notes, updates, everything. So one of the things that I wanted to put together is, we go through on our sales calls on Mondays and Tuesdays, and we look through our CRM, and we've got our notes in our CRM, we've got our stages, all the stuff that you would normally have inside of your CRM. And typically you're updating notes, you're updating stages, things like that. What I find to be a little bit more efficient and more productive is having more conversation, less typing and less editing. So I wanted to make sure that we had a place where we can just have a dashboard, open up our dashboard, see all of the opportunities. It doesn't necessarily have to be the actual CRM itself. The CRM is where everything lives. The dashboard is where we orchestrate our sales meeting, right? So that we can get through stuff quickly. We can talk about things. If we need to spend more time on one opportunity versus another, we can spend our time on that. But everything's prioritized by closing date. You know, which ones are closing sooner, which ones are higher value, which ones are more important for us, which ones have higher probability, right? So it's all structured in a manner like that so that we're focusing on the right areas, right? So that we can continue to drive forward and get things that are kind of at the ending stages pushed forward. So as we have that dashboard up, you know, it's something that we just started using. You know, you don't have to spend so much time sitting there typing in notes and typing in and updating stages, because one of the cool things is Claude, you know, takes these transcriptions that we have. Teams is recording everything. Same way with Copilot, with Facilitator. All that stuff kind of ties into this too, right? I don't want to make it seem like Claude is the only thing working here, right? Microsoft tools, Copilot, Facilitator, all these things that we use inside of the Microsoft ecosystem are a super important part to how all this stuff works. I have Claude actually go into Teams and it reads through my facilitator notes from the sales meeting. So as we're talking about an opportunity, if we're talking about BrightPath and we're talking about, you know, updates on it and, you know, what so-and-so said on a sales meeting, whatever it might be, it's going through and it's finding all of those notes that we talked about. It's picking up the point in which we talked about that opportunity. It also knows which opportunities we're going through first, right? Because it builds this dashboard right here, right? So this is the dashboard. So as it's doing the transcription, it knows that we're starting off with that first one right there on the deals list. So each opportunity we go through, as it's reading the transcription, even if it misses the name of the company, it kind of knows like, all right, this is the first one you talked about. This is the second one you talked about. And it puts together notes for each one of them. So anything we talked about verbally amongst each other, it's grabbing that information. And then at the end of that sales call, it's actually running through that transcription. It's grabbing all the notes for each opportunity and it's updating the opportunity for me. So with all the notes that we talked about, anything that we discussed, it's getting plopped into the CRM. So it lives there. We can go back to it. We can reference it so we can read it, but it's also taking the tasks, right? So any tasks that we identified, hey, Tyler, you got to send this person an email. Craig, you've got to send this person a proposal, whatever it may be. It's creating that task for us based off the transcription, based off us telling it just to each other. And at the end of it, these guys get, you know, a bunch of emails that are saying, you know, you got a task assigned to you, you got a task assigned to you. Might be 30 tasks by the end of a sales call that are being assigned, and it's all being done simultaneously. As soon as it reads that transcription, updating the notes, it's assigning the tasks, sending it out to everybody, and that way we're all on board. And that also ties back into the morning planner, right? So the sales meeting is creating the tasks. The morning planner is running it, making sure, hey, this task was due today. You didn't do this task yet, you're past due, you're getting pinged, and it's just kind of a revolving cycle. They all connect in one way or another. But the dashboard itself right here is just an easy way for us to go through it and be able to spend more time talking about the opportunities instead of just, you know, sitting there and typing and getting updates. And it also makes sure that everything is covered, right? Because you can type notes, you can type stuff, but AI is going to be able to get it a little bit more in depth, and it's going to be able to put it a much better structure than it would take you to type a note out in, you know, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. It's going to be a little bit more thorough. And this is the client call prep. So client call prep, again, when you're getting onto a sales call, you're talking to a client, you want to make sure that you have all the information in front of you, right? You might have spoke to this client 2 weeks ago. You might have spoke to them a month ago. Maybe you haven't spoken to them ever. And you want to make sure that you've got everything you need right in front of you so that when you're talking to this client, you can reference back to conversations you had a month ago. If it's a brand new client, you can reference to, you know, their industry or what their objectives are, have questions that you want to ask them, be able to relate to that and have that conversation so that you're fully prepared. You're not going into these calls blind. So whenever we have a sales call, whether it's a new client or a current client, I run my call prep, and it'll go through. If it's a current client that we've been having conversations with, It reads through Outlook. It reads through our Teams. It finds any previous meetings, transcripts, conversations inside of Teams that we're having. So when we're talking amongst each other, if it picks up that we talked about this client, 2 weeks ago, it's going to grab those notes and it's going to put together a full summary for me. And you'll see that after this thing runs through, you'll see that it is putting together an executive summary on what the point of the call is. It's going to put together who's going to be on the call. It's going to show you what the progress is, right? So if it's someone we've been working with, it's going to show the stages, right? We initially made contact with them 3 months ago. Then I sent an email. Then we had a sales meeting. Then we had another email exchange. Then we had another sales meeting, right? Showing us the progression of how we're actually going through this sales cycle with the client. And then if it's a brand new client and we've never spoke to them, it's kicking off account research, right? So it's going and researching the company. What industry are they in? What types of things are they focusing on right now? Who are they owned by a larger company? What's the size of their company? All the different things that you'd want to know going into a call. Who are some of the decision makers? Who am I talking to, right? If I have a call scheduled with, Bob and Joe, I want to know what Bob and Joe's titles are. I want to know, where they rank inside of the company and, what their role is so that I can actually be in there and be able to speak to them in a way that makes sense and be able to translate information and also make sure that I've got the right people on the call. If it's a super technical call where I've got a lot of technical people on, I want to make sure I bring the right people from my team onto that call so that they can speak to them and they can speak kind of the same language and kind of get a little bit deeper into the weeds with them. So this is what the call prep looks like. So it's given us an overview. This is the context, right? So that's the kind of chain that we're going through, or conversation, the engagement timeline. Puts together some questions, right? So, if there is a context chain and there's some stuff going on, it's going to put together some good questions that you should ask that are going to help you kind of drive this forward and that makes sense to the call so that you're not just going in there all willy-nilly and trying to kind of, free everything. So, got discovery questions. It's going to go through the strategy. So it's going to kind of put together like what to look out for, some things that you want to kind of like be pushing for. What's your goal with this call? How should you approach next steps? What should the next steps be? And then it's also got technical context, right? What type of platforms do they use? What's their infrastructure look like? That way we have full visibility into, what kind of, company that we're working with, right? Are they fully aligned with the stuff that we're familiar with? Do I have to bring somebody in from my team that's more familiar with one platform than another? Just helps you kind of be much more prepared when you're getting on these calls. So this is the sales call recap. And a lot of them sound the same. And again, they're all kind of tied into each other. So the recap is after the call, right? So we do prep before the call. We have all the information in front of us. Then after the call, we want to have all of the context and summary from that actual specific call. And we want to have a nice follow-up that goes out to the client pretty quickly. All right, you don't want to be waiting a week, 2 weeks to be sending out an email. You want to be able to get something out to them, something that they can reference back to, right? Because you may have a call with a client, and if your team's struggling with kind of trying to remember what you talked about or anything like that, client might be as well. They got a lot of stuff going on. You want to make sure you give them as much information as you can from that meeting, especially if you're the meeting owner and you're the one recording it or whatever it may be, so that they can reference back to it and they can look at that email and remember a lot of the stuff. And then it keeps you all on the same line, right? Because you're all looking at the same information. You all kind of have everything in front of you, and it keeps everybody kind of coordinated. So after a sales call is done, I run this call, this recap. So it basically goes through and it finds what we talked about. I think it's actually running the prep one right now. But the sales recap, meeting summary, here we go. So the meeting summary goes through and it finds the transcription. It goes through and it grabs all of the action items, all of the key points that we talked about. It goes through and it brings up any of the different items that we discussed, stuff that we've got to kind of make sure that we're following up with them on. It updates the CRM as well. So similar to our internal sales calls, after we are done with it, it's grabbing that meeting transcription. It's putting that transcription together, putting a summary together in a summary doc, and then it's taking those same notes and it's putting it into like a CRM structure so that now the opportunity inside of the CRM is fully updated with the notes. any action items, any tasks that needed to be created from that sales call. It's creating those tasks. It's assigning it to the right person. It's making sure it's setting a due date. And just so you guys have an idea as well, when it does all of this, right, I'm not necessarily fully letting it just go and do everything. I have a couple guardrails set in place with it where I want to review it as well, right? Because sometimes it might think that, you said something that you didn't say, or it was supposed to be, if somebody's name didn't get picked up properly in the transcription, might be off a little bit. So I always look at a log before it actually publishes it all. And it gives me a list, and I can just go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, approve, change this to Kevin, change this to Alex, change this date to April 30th. And I can make those changes before it actually pushes everything. That way, before it goes into the CRM, I'm reviewing it all. I'm making sure that it's fully in there and it's all updated and it's all accurate, so that we're not kind of looking at the wrong type of information here. And then one thing I wanted to get into is the marketing engine. So going back to the AI CMO, this is a little bit about kind of how it works. So got Monday morning at 6 a.m. it runs. 6 a.m. turns on. It's all scheduled inside of Claude Cowork. So it's all that scheduled tasks. Everything is kind of coordinated, and it runs through all these different data sources. So we've got our Dataverse MCP server, our Outlook MCP server, which is under communications. Some of these are grouped into the same MCP servers, and it uses all of those tools to read our data. And while it's reading that data, it's able to get full insight into our organization, right? So sometimes when you have tools like Claude, right, they might be able to, look into some of the pre-built MCP servers, like they have like a Gmail one, right? There's not necessarily a fully built out one for ArchitectNow's Microsoft ecosystem. So Kevin built a custom MCP server, which is basically like an API that can call all these tools, and it allows AI to go in there and read or write, however you want to set it up, and give us full access into whatever we want it to have access to. So a lot of these tools right here are not something we could just go install online. These are something that ArchitectNow custom built so that we have full visibility into the stuff that we need visibility into. And we are building other custom MCP servers as well. And that's one thing that we're having conversations with some of our clients about is, you want to build out workflows, you want to build out automations and stuff for your company. You want to make sure that it's all directly tied into your organization and built around your organization so that you're getting the right information. Also, you're setting up the proper guardrails, right? You don't want some people to have access to certain tools or certain information. You got to make sure that you have the proper access set up. And that's where a lot of the magic happens within those custom MCP servers. And then we also have some out-of-the-box ones like Apollo. Apollo is one thing that I use to build out email campaigns. So I can go into Cowork or Claude, however I want to do it, and I can fully build out a campaign, right? So part of this automation thing is that it's going through and it's reading each one of these tools, and they all kind of tie together with the pipeline analyst, the market scout, PPC auditor, planner task, right? Just to kind of give you an example, the market scout goes through, and as I showed earlier in the call, it found all these Microsoft articles that we were kind of digested and put together a LinkedIn post about. Well, great, LinkedIn posts are awesome. You want to have multi-marketing channels. So one thing I also do is I take it and all the stuff that the marketing scout found, right? It's not just on, one topic. It's on 15 different topics. It's on 20 different topics, however many I wanted to get. It grabs all of those topics and it puts them together, right? So it goes to the LinkedIn, it builds me out the LinkedIn content. And then it finds the ones that, hey, this would be a good email campaign, right? And it might be a very, very specific email campaign, right? Say it's on HIPAA compliance or it's on something in the government sector, whatever it may be. It's going to go through, it's going to find that article. Then it's going to identify who I should be sending this content to. Because something around HIPAA or in the healthcare industry might not obviously want to be sending to somebody who works at a construction company. So it goes through and it finds all the people inside of Apollo that are in the healthcare industry, that are in the C-suite or business decision maker roles, grabs their emails, it grabs their LinkedIns, it enriches the content for me. It builds the sequence for me. So it actually builds out, hey, we're going to send 3 emails over the next week and a half. We're going to send 4 emails, right? It builds out that whole sequence. It builds out the content for the emails. and it personalizes it to that specific type of person. And it might build out 4 or 5 different mini campaigns: construction, healthcare, manufacturing, all different areas based on the content that we found inside the market scale. So that's one of the really powerful tools as well. Is it's taking a lot of this stuff and it's putting it in front of me, allowing me to just go and be more of an analyzer and a reviewer and an approver instead of actually doing the manual clicking and building and typing stuff. PPC Auditor, that's another tool that I use every single day. PPC Auditor, we're running ads on Google, Bing, LinkedIn, different things like that, and PPC is a beast, and you want to be able to go through and look at your metrics every single day, adjust keywords, find new keywords. You got to find any bugs. You got to find, why you're not getting conversions, looking at your landing page. There's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into it. So the PPC Auditor, right now it's using a web scraper. So it goes through and it connects to all of our PPC accounts, and it reads all the analytics. It pulls the reports. It puts all those reports together, gives me that final summary of the report, but then it also pushes it over to into an ads hub that I have, and it gives me all of the metrics all inside of one place. So it gives me, my Google ads, it gives me my Bing ads, my LinkedIn ads, it gives me all of the content that I need right in front of me so that I can go through and analyze. And then it also identifies any of the things that I need to change, right? So if it notices, hey, you've got a lot of dead clicks on this part of your page, because it's also connected to Microsoft Clarity. If you've got a lot of dead clicks in this part of your page, you got to figure out why. Helps you go through and analyze, how do we address that issue so that we stop getting dead clicks and so that people are actually turning into conversions and filling out the form. So it gives you all those recommendations, and it also analyzes, where you're ranking, what your budget looks like, what your cost per click is, what your click-through rate looks like, all the different KPIs that you want to look at inside of a PPC campaign, analyzes it, builds it out, gives you an entire plan, and then also gives you recommendations on how to adjust it. And then it'll ask you, after it gives you the recommendations, you want me to go implement them? And you can say yes, or you can walk through it with you. So that's one of the cool things about it. So it's also connected with planner tasks. But just to kind of paint the picture of this diagram, you've got the data sources, and then you've got what I call agents, right? But really they're just a bunch of different skills that are kind of firing off in sequence. And then I've got the coordinator, right? So the coordinator is the kind of brain of this entire operation. It's taking all the data sources and what the agents are finding, and it's kind of putting them into a area where it's going to start sending them off, right? So, it goes through and it finds, goes through the Market Scout, finds all of the content that we've found research on, and then it's identifying which ones that we're going to look through. Goes to the coordinator. Then if it's LinkedIn content, the coordinator is going to send it up to the LinkedIn writer. The LinkedIn writer has my voice DNA. It's got my LinkedIn authority skill. It's got Humanizer, which goes through and makes sure that you're looking at content so that it's not sounding like AI. LinkedIn writer writes the content, puts it into LinkedIn drafts, sends it over to the command center. Craig approves it, or denies it, or edits it, sends it out to a deploy script. The deploy script sends it over to Hootsuite, wherever it's going to be deployed, and it's all there at the end. And then the final step is literally me just going in and click and send, or click and draft, or click and approve to get the stuff out there. So it all kind of works in a crazy fashion, but it's basically putting together a bunch of manual tasks that somebody would do normally on a day-to-day basis, and figuring out how to break it into smaller steps to allow AI to do a lot of the manual labor on it. And then you're the approver, the coordinator. You are the one that is actually going in and making the decisions on it and making the edits so that it actually comes out with high quality. And then there's a lot of other things as well that we do here. This is just stuff that me as a sales and the director of business development has kind of put together. I think that there is a lot of use in any organization, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a project manager, it doesn't matter what role you're in. I think that having tools like this and having workflows that fit your specific day-to-day operation is something that everybody should be looking to adopt, because AI is not going anywhere, and you've got to either adopt it and learn to work with it, or AI is going to, I don't want to say take over, but it's one of those things where if you don't try to adapt with it, it's not going anywhere. So I highly recommend that you start looking into your workflows, you start looking into how your organization can adopt a lot of these. And we've been having conversations with people, the last couple months as this stuff is just shipping and shipping and shipping. It comes out so quickly. The amount of times I have to edit these skills is insane. I mean, this morning I was on the flight coming in from Tampa and I'm having to update stuff because Claude shipped something new. So as new stuff gets shipped, as new features are coming out, it's constantly getting better and better and better. You've got to be able to adjust it and fix it, right? And when you're doing that on a massive scale with an entire organization, there's more coordination and work that goes into it than just having someone like me fixing my own skills, right? When you've got skills set up like Kevin has built for ArchitectNow, we've got skills that's deployed out to our entire team. And our entire team has that stuff. So if something changes or Kevin has to fix something, Kevin's got to go in there and make those changes and update it and then deploy it to the team, right? So you definitely want to make sure that you've got somebody that can do that for you. You got to make sure someone that's staying on top of it as well, because if you start letting this stuff get outdated, it's just gonna keep it's not gonna work as well as you want it to. So that's one of the things that we've been focusing on here is building this into our own internal organization. Other organizations have a heavy focus on this. That's why this webinar kind of came about today, and it's something that we're helping organizations with. So one thing that we wanted to start looking at is taking these same type of workflows, whether it's in sales, for developers, for business leaders, for project managers, whoever it may be, and sitting down with these companies, coming to the innovation hub like this, which we do. We bring some of our clients in here. We sit down for 3-4 hours with 5-10 people in a room, and we brainstorm this type of stuff. We look at what your business looks like. We look at what your use cases are. We try to figure out, okay, like what's maybe the low-hanging fruit. What are some really feasible ideas to kind of jump into first, and what are some things that are actually practical and make sense for your organization right now? And we try to build a roadmap, right? Like where are we going to start, and where do we want to go? Because you've really got to plan that out in coordination so that you're not starting here and then you want to be all the way up here and then 6 months later you're still right here and your POC doesn't work, right? There is a process to this. There is a method to the madness, and it's something that we help our clients with, and doing things at the Innovation Hub like this are super beneficial. So if anybody's interested in doing any sort of assessment, workflow assessment, you want to get on a call with us for 30 minutes, have us kind of just chat a little bit with you and look at what your business workflows look like in different parts of the in different parts of the business. I'm more than happy to do that. Reach out to me, shoot me an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn. We can set up a 30-minute call and just brainstorm, if something like this works for your team or something for your project managers works, right? And kind of map that out and see what makes sense. And then from there, kind of, see where things go. But if that's something anybody's interested in, definitely reach out. More than happy to assist and kind of coordinate that with you all. Want to open it up if there's any questions that came through while I was talking, any questions anybody wants to ask. We got about 7 minutes left. Feel free to ask any of those questions. And then if not, you can definitely shoot me an email. See a question. When a commercial customer creates a Claude work account, team verifies, customer is the controller of the data. It's not user commercial. I didn't see the thread before that, Kevin. I don't know if you were. Yeah. But yeah, so it's one of those things where there's so many different use cases that are available. There's so many different things that you can build out. It's just a matter of being creative and trying to be the person that is actually building with AI and not using it as a extended ChatGPT or an extended Google or anything like that. Build with it, adopt it, use it to your advantage, improve your efficiency. You can get so much productivity gains out of AI if you use it the right way, and that you have all of these tools pointing at your actual data. See if I can show you guys one of these. Share my screen really quick again. Inside of the CMO area, this is one thing I wanted to show as well earlier. It was on the video, but so here's the content queue. So one of the things that it's doing is it's taking all of these these LinkedIn posts and putting them into different variations for me. I can approve, I can edit, I can reject them. But then it's got all these different articles right here. And I wanted to dive into this earlier, but it was on a video. But these are all the different type of articles that it's pulling, and you can train it to pull any one of those articles that you're focusing on inside of your organization. Awesome. If there's any other questions, is the command center built in CoWork? Can you review which components of Claude are used, where and how to start the setup? No, the command center is something that I built myself, just I guess vibe coding. I'm not somebody that's a developer or anything like that, but I built it myself, and it's all running it runs locally. So it's just sitting on my Mac. It's running in a local server. I push everything, and so when Claude is running through CoWork, and I have it set up so that it works on CoWork or on Claude Code through the terminal, so I can run it either way. But after it compiles all of that data, what it's doing is it's pushing everything over to the command center in JSON, and it's just updating all of those tabs inside of there. So it's taking all the data daily, pushing it in there, and then when it's at the end of the day, like the EOD nodes or the approve or anything like that, it's sending it back when it reruns it. So yeah, I built it all, and it's 100% kind of just an interface to take the data from Claude and house it somewhere. And I probably would have made a little bit nicer of a UI if it was something that I was doing now. I built that. That was honestly the first thing that I ever built when I was using Claude. I just one night decided to start messing around and seeing what it can do, and it spit that out. I told it to make it look like AI actually, and that's why it looks just like AI. I'd probably make something a lot more cleaner now. But yeah, that was built. And then same thing with like the ads hub. The ads hub is something that I built out as well. It looks very similar to that, but it houses all of our like KPIs and whatnot. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. The ads hub is really cool. I want to set up different. Okay, I pushed all of our sample data over this morning. So I wanted to set up a different, like a different UI for this too as well, but it just broke on me. See, it's all running locally, but I gotta relaunch it. But the ad sub essentially is it's taking the same stuff. It's taking all the stuff that the PPC audit scraper does, and it's putting it all into the ad sub UI. And then from there, it's just housing it all so we can look at each campaign. We can look at all the metrics all inside of one place. Is there any other questions? It's only available on the Mac platform currently. Nope, no, Mac's just what we use. We use Macs internally, but you can download Claude on Windows as well. So this, like the CoWork and the Claude Code and stuff, that all does run like on your local folders. So it's got all like folder setups and whatnot. So you actually have different like projects set up inside of it. I can actually show you guys one of these folders really quick before we jump off here. So this is like my demo work folder. So I've got, my AI CMO right here. I've got campaigns. I got a Claude MD. I've got all my clients set up inside of here. So each client folder has like different folders inside of it. So meeting notes, transcription, statement of works. It's got all of my references. So I've got, different plans and activities and different projects and whatnot. It's got outputs. It's got the daily plans that it puts inside of there. And then it also has, all the different reporting that comes out. So like PPC audits, right? If it grabs this PPC audit, it can. So, it houses everything in here. So all the documents and everything that it saves inside of Claude Code, inside of Claude CoWork, it all saves inside of that, inside of one of those folders. And you can kind of control everything. So all the skills live in there. I have a Claude MD set up. I have a reference. I have a lessons folder. So anytime that's what I was talking about with training it, anytime that it makes a mistake or it does something that I don't want it to do, I have it so that it auto saves to the lessons so that it doesn't make that mistake again. So when next time it does something, it reads to that lessons MD and it knows like, hey, don't do this, or, don't do it this way. There's a gotchas folder. So there's a bunch of different folder setups inside of there for reference that it can look at. And that way it continues to get better and better. One thing that I also learned, and I learned it because my CoWork was burning up an insane amount of tokens, and I couldn't figure out why my usage was going so quickly. I'm on the 200 max plan, and I used 25% in half a day one day. and I couldn't figure out why. And it was because my Claude MD was bloated. I had like 800 lines inside of my Claude MD, and it was trying to read all that context. And then I also had a duplicated skills folder with 45 different skills inside of it, and it was trying every time I made a request inside of Claude Cowork, it was trying to read every single skill, and it was just burning tokens, and it was going through a compaction loop inside of Cowork. So a lot of that stuff is just trial and error, figuring it out, looking at forums, looking at experts inside of this stuff as well, and just testing it out and working with it to improve the quality and the output of everything. And it's only going to continue to get better. So again, if anybody has any more questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm going to send out the recording to this. I'll send out an email with my contact information. Send you out some information on some of the assessments that we do as well. If you want to get onto a 30-minute call, talk through what some of your workflows would look like, more than happy to do that as well. And I appreciate you all for joining me today, and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.